if I tried. Hey everyone!
Happy Monday. I say it's from Shrek.
I say it's from the monkeys.
I think it depends on what generation you're from.
You
So-
say I'm old?
I think I'm old, but I guess, well, you have older kids.
Yeah, but monkeys, how could you not like the monkeys?
I love the monkeys.
But actually, I love Shrek too.
He's really cool. I just
Oh,
imagine
Shrek
like the
was
little
good.
guys. I believe. Anyway, okay, we're going
Yeah.
crazy. Teresa's saying one of my faves, so that's good. Thank you.
Yay!
We're not
Teresa,
crazy.
Shrek or the monkeys?
Careful. how
Just
you-
asking.
Yeah, we need to know. It's important. Monkeys.
Yeah.
You're still going. Still wants the music. We're living it up here on Monday. My favorite topic,
Yes.
online marketing. Been doing it for approximately 1 million years.
Right.
You've taught it. I've taught it. Different aspects of online marketing. I think it's a very big term that means a lot of things. So we're actually going to go through today sort of the top 10 and go through what it looks like, what the different things mean, because I think there's a lot of people that I'm a digital marketer, or I'm an online marketer, I'm this, I can help you with that. And there's a lot of people. You can have
There's
a lot of people.
Yeah. So when most people think of an online marketing, the first thing they think of, which is our point number 1, is really social media marketing, right? Because immediately think that's all it is. It isn't. But social media marketing is very, very important, Stacey.
Hi. That was my gig for a very long time. I taught it. I trained it. So social media marketing basically encompasses all the different social media platforms. So again, Facebook, and then you take Facebook and you break it down to Facebook groups, Facebook page, Facebook personal, Twitter, Instagram stories, Instagram feed, IGTV, Instagram reels. And there's one more I'm missing, I feel like.
TikTok, if it's not banned.
It's not banned yet.
No.
No, it's coming. LinkedIn, again, social media marketing. It's still, I consider, a little bit of a, different play over here in regards to strategy. Oh my goodness. Snapchat. I have to go in there's so many different.
And all the ones that are your kids don't tell you about.
Exactly. Yeah. Snap. That we need to focus on when we think of social media marketing is understanding that you don't actually have to be on all of them.
Right.
I actually met a client, I think it was last week, and all they want to do is LinkedIn. And then there's other clients I meet where it's like, focus on Facebook and Instagram, which is perfect for different people. So I know we've talked about this before, the who, the where, but really important, because just because Twitter worked for your, uncles, dogs, cousins, friends, whatever, for their business does not mean it makes sense for you. So, and same thing with Facebook. Like Facebook, focuses really heavily on personal feed and Facebook groups, not so much on the Facebook page, which is why it's very hard for your Facebook page to get visibility up in the algorithms. Instagram, they're all focused on video content. So really understanding sort of where your person's hanging out or where your client's hanging out is going to dictate which particular social media platform works for you.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn's really cool because stories just came out last week. So I was playing with that over the weekend. So all the social media, I think the biggest thing is that all the social media platforms evolve. So they change, and sometimes in a good way. That's where my craziness has come from. I'll never forget. I was ready for a conference. I'm speaking on Instagram. It was back when remember when the Instagram changed their logo?
Yeah.
It was the night before.
Yeah.
So guess what I had to do? I had to update all my slides to the new Instagram logo, which, thanks Instagram.
Yeah.
And then when I normally teach with screenshots. And every time I go to do a presentation, I have to double check that they haven't changed anything.
Yeah.
And that's never happened. They always change it.
Yeah. Always.
Where things are, how to post. The concepts are the same. It's just, do you click here where you can go there? I think probably the biggest challenge with social media is that they change things they don't tell you. So you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I guess I have the new look of Facebook.
Exactly.
But the great thing is it enables you to literally reach anybody across the world. So the basics of communication is there. I love the fact that I can connect with people all over the world in regards to the Facebook groups, LinkedIn, connecting with people, Instagram. It's such a great opportunity. And it's non-negotiable. You do have to be on social media these days. It's just as simple as it gets.
That was just number one.
Sorry, I can talk forever about social media.
Take a breath.
I get all excited.
Okay, number two is content marketing, and content marketing really is everything, right? It's social media, it's videos, it's website, you name it, podcasts, it's everything that you can think of, but it's the content that you actually create. So it's great. You can have social media on every platform, but if you don't have any content, it's kind of irrelevant. So how many of you actually have profiles on all these social media pages and you don't put anything out, right? That's a problem. So content media is more about strategy. It's understanding what you're doing, what you're putting out there, and then actually writing those blogs, creating those videos, and everything you need to put that out. Content, again, strategy. So you have to plan it out. Content on just for content doesn't really work.
Well, and sometimes you can take a post or a piece of content and just deliver it to all the different platforms because it's appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our feeds are very business focused, so it's applicable to all different platforms.
Right.
However, when you intermix different things, the strategy of content might be different depending on the platform that you're on, which is why I was just focusing on a couple rather than all of them. So,
but it comes down to what your message is, right? So what are you trying to achieve in that content? So if you're just putting out what you're eating for lunch or where you're going, if that's your strategy because you're more on the influencer mode and you have tags to sell things like the restaurant or your yellow jacket, then that's okay. Go ahead and post it. But if you're posting just because somebody has told you that you must post all the time, it's not going to work. There actually has to be something in your content. So whether you're, prolific at writing blogs or you're really great at doing videos, think about what people can learn from you. That's your content. Just like today, what we're doing is content.
Well, and valuable content. That's what we've been talking about that for months, value, value, value. A lot of people have said, how much content should I put out? Well, if you're giving me value every day, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not giving me any value, that's not good.
That's right.
So that's why the strategy of content is so important, because the value that you get out of it and the value that you give to the people who are following you is so crucial, right? So that does vary from person to person. And that's the social media you're on varies from person to person. The content, the strategy, it's all individual to your business. So don't go and see what somebody else is doing and then try to copy what they're doing.
And you want to make sure that everything matches, right? So if you have a website, the content on the website, the lead magnet or the opt-in offer that they download is exactly the same. Case studies, if you have case studies or you have testimonials on your site, it should be about what you're actually trying to sell or trying to value. Because if somebody gave you if you're a business person, somebody gave you a testimonial on what a great friend you are, it's really kind of irrelevant. So make sure that your content does make sense.
It's actually really funny. I was there was a guy that sort of newer to LinkedIn, and we talked about the fact that he needs to comment with a valuable opinion. So he needed to comment on all these people. Well, unfortunately, what ended up happening was that all of his connections on LinkedIn were from his bar days back in university. And all of his comments were related to how much he'd had to drink that night and how much beer he'd had. And I'm like, that's not good content for LinkedIn. So I literally told him to take it all down.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not how you grow a professional.
Or when somebody teaches you to, when you get comments on Instagram and then they tell you, you have to reply to those. Well, I get it, but make sure you're careful to watch what they actually put on the comments, because some of them are robots and they'll say, great content, and you told a really horrible thing, right?
I love your feed.
So don't reply to those people.
No, you don't have to reply to all the robots.
So make sure that you look at, again, your entire content as a strategy before you even attempt to go onto social media. Right. So number 3 is email marketing.
I love that one.
Yeah.
And again, same thing. A lot of people feel it goes up and down. I think email marketing is one that's really changed the philosophy over the years. We kind of went from sort of that newsletter that we felt like weekly or whatever the case may be. We had to put a newsletter that had blocks of information, a link to your blog, maybe an event that you have coming up, whatever that case may be. Then we transitioned into just an email. like
Yeah,
email
sequence.
marketing, what an email actually is, which is, hi, Faye, you know, glad you just downloaded this particular thing. Here's a little bit more about me. And it's conversational, but it looks like an email that you would send to your
Yeah.
friend, which I really like. I'm glad we moved away from the newsletter concept. I don't like them.
Well, it's interesting because in the last over COVID, there's all these things like newsletters are back, right? I don't think so. I don't think they were back. I just think people are opening up their email more. That's all.
Right.
So there's a bit of a disconnect there. Here's the difference for those of you who are contemplating what to do. An email newsletter is sent out once, right? You send it out once a month or once a week. So it only goes to the people that are on your list at that moment in time. That's what you have to understand. So, if you spend hours and hours writing this email and then you don't even grow your list till next year, they will have never seen it. If you structure your email into a sequence, that means every single person that comes to your list and downloads and adds in automatically now starts getting email 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4, then all of a sudden it makes more sense. And I'm not saying never to do email blasts. I think it's really important to do email blasts when you have an event or a launch or something like that that's time sensitive. But other than that,
or valuable,
or
a valuable piece of information that everybody could use. But just don't, like, I found there was one person I knew that was so focused on making sure that every Friday this email went out that it was stressful for her because she felt like she had to send it out and she needed to get something to her list. And what if she didn't get it to her list, and the stress that she was under? But email marketing is not dead. And I think that's the biggest thing is Jen's just asking. I'll ask that question in a second. Okay. But basically, there's a lot of people like, well, I'm on social media. So are people even opening emails anymore? And the answer is yes. So email marketing is very much alive and you can use it, and you don't.
Email marketing, you own the list. And that's the important thing, right? You don't own your lists when you're on social media. So your followers and subscribers, you don't own them. If YouTube or Instagram shuts you down, they're gone. So email is the only way. Your list is what's gold. What did Jen want to know?
So Jen wants to know, so we suggest no weekly emails.
No, I don't. So that's Jen, this is if you want a strategy behind email, this is what I'm suggesting. That if it's time sensitive, again, go ahead and push that email out. If it's an ongoing newsletter that you write once a week, I guess it is. If there's no time sensitivity in it, so it's just like information value, then what I would do is just put them into a sequence, right? And then continually roll new people through your sequence. So if you have, for example, for those of you who already have 52 weeks of newsletters that you did in the past, and none of them are time sensitive and they're all of value, I would take all of those and I would put them into a sequence. Now you have 52 weeks going forward for only new subscribers, right? So anyone who was on your list might have seen them, but new subscribers have never seen them. So you can add them to a new subscriber list, right? And anyone that comes into the new subscriber list, and then the people that are already in, have been in your email list, you can add another sequence that is going strictly to them, and then you add your new subscribers so they get more. So it's a big strategy, but the truth is, as I said, I have no problem with you writing emails every week, but understand, for those of you who have subscribed lists, if you think that those are all new newsletters you're getting, they're not. Normally they're just you're now on. And here's the easy way to do it. Resubscribe to somebody that sends monthly or sends weekly. Resubscribe with a different email, and then you'll see you're getting the same ones you already had a long time ago. That's
line up a load of blogs for new subscribers. Absolutely. Because I think the challenge, and this is with social media in general, email marketing, content marketing, so these top three, I think the biggest mistake that people make is the one time.
Right.
So I'm going to write a blog. This is the typical thing that somebody does. They write a blog. They post the link to the blog on social media. So they've taken the piece of content marketing, they've written it, and then they send it out to their list, and then they're done.
Yeah.
And then we never ever see that piece of content ever again because they're like, well, I already did that.
Yeah.
I can't do it again. So the whole concept of, again, email marketing, social media, and content marketing is figuring out different ways to use the same piece of content. You can break up a blog. You can put the blog out in a sequence for new people because they didn't get your newsletter a week ago. So there's lots of different opportunities.
So remember, we've already talked about social media on a different training. We already talked about content marketing. We already talked about email marketing as well, and everything. And same information. So it's just now we're talking about the whole list instead of going in deep into one. That is really repurposing your information. Why? Because again, there's going to be people watching this and listening to this because this is also on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're going to see this and they're going to only see it for the first time. Right. So
Exactly.
don't think that everyone is always your subscriber and listening to you forever. They're not.
And they don't remember.
They don't remember.
That's the funny part. It's like, but I posted that, 6 months ago. They don't remember.
No, we don't even remember what we covered, right? We're like, did we talk about that yet? Well, let's go check our list. Like, we can't remember.
Exactly.
So number 4 is affiliate marketing.
So this is a big one that people kind of forget about. And it's a big online opportunity because there's lots of amazing programs and platforms and all of that stuff out there that you can sell on behalf of somebody else. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we get a ton of emails where it's like, hey, my buddy is doing this program, use my link and get this. So I'm getting literally the same 16 million, but that's okay because they're all affiliates.
And the truth is, if you want to blow up your business, you have to use affiliates. So either way, you can be an affiliate or you can have affiliates. And so for those of you who are, for example, in Groove or Kajabi, for those 2 platforms, they're the 2 that we use. Yeah. You affiliates are built into those platforms. So a little bit differently on how they work. But listen, if you have previous clients that are with you, they're perfect people to add as affiliates. So you can simply say to them, look, I'd love to offer you an affiliate commission for anyone that you bring into the program because they are your raving fans. They're the ones that are going to bring you people. On the other flip side, if you use, for example, a great software like Kajabi, you can be an affiliate for them and you can do an entire business. We don't like blow it out and say, here's our affiliate link, go ahead. But there are people that they make all of their money on just selling affiliate stuff.
And I think it's really interesting that people shy away from offering an affiliate program to somebody else. So like, why would I give away, say, 50% of my program fee to somebody else? And it's like, well, why wouldn't you?
Right.
You've done nothing to get that.
Right. And you've already created it. So if it's an online program, you've already created it. So, don't worry about, giving away money. And sometimes I have a lot of clients, for those of you who are watching, you know who you are, that have said, okay, I'll do a 10%. And I'm like, well, nobody's going to promote you for 10%. People promote you for 50%. That's what the big guys that you see, the emails that you get where they say, subscribe to my buddy's program, they're getting 50%. That's why they're promoting it. So don't be silly and say 10%. If you're saying 10%, I'm not even going to look at you. No. I'm not even remotely interested in your program. So that's affiliate marketing. Next is SEO.
What does that stand for? I get that question. Is probably the most popular one that I get.
Yeah. And it's a bad word, right? Everyone goes, SEO. I don't want to know.
Search engine optimization, which basically means that when I search for a word, the people that come up have maybe their website or their profiles optimized with specific keywords so that they come up in the search first. So it's a big term that a lot of people don't necessarily understand. People have built businesses. We were just talking earlier about the hundreds of dollars that people charge where what do you do for SEO? So SEO can be your website, putting in keywords into your website. SEO can mean even your LinkedIn profile. We talk about being SEO optimized. SEO typically is talking about the platforms in regards to Google or Bing or Safari or wherever you are doing your searches.
You're trying to get on page 1, right? Trying to get on page 1 of Google search. So for a specific topic. And that's really what SEO is built on. So that when that old saying, where do you hide a dead body? on page 2 of Google.
I've never heard that before. Learned something new today.
Sorry.
But it's true. Now, when I'm looking, how many times, so I push back. So how many times do you guys search for something? And how many times are you guys going to page 2? Right? Those, so optimizing basically meaning understanding, and this goes back to understanding your client. What are they searching for? And that's why we always ask that question, because if your site is keyword for, I don't know, nutrition as an example, but your clients are looking for healthy living,
Yeah.
you're not coming up in the search for healthy living. You're only coming up in the search for nutrition.
Yeah.
So understanding what they're looking for and the questions that they're asking is really important when you're talking about SEO.
Yeah. And if when when you're searching for something and you obviously you get the exact answers on page 1, right? If you go to page 2, it's usually because you didn't ask the question right? And then what happens when you do that? Then you change your question.
Right.
So you start learning all those things, right? Because nobody wants to go to page 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Well, it's not worth my time. Hey, sorry. I didn't turn my thing off. Let me just tell them I'm going to call them back.
Yeah. So I'll go to the next one. SEM. So what's SEM? SEM is really a paid version of SEO. So when we talk about when you pay per click, right? So you do a Facebook ad, or you do a Google AdWords ad, or a YouTube monetization, I don't even know what they're calling it, ad. So that is SEM. So you are actually paying for your SEO per click, right? So SEO is organic. You show up in the feed because you're on page 1. But do you remember when you see at the top 3 things on Google, what do you get? They all have the little ad.
Yeah.
That's paid for. That's SEM. Nothing wrong with it. I absolutely click on ads all the time.
Yeah, but it's funny people don't.
Yeah.
I'm finding people are like, "Oh, but they're paying to be at the top." It's like, well, yeah, that's the point. They're paying to be there. And it's exactly the same thing as a sponsored ad on Facebook.
Yeah.
We all click on them. Instagram, Facebook, the same thing. We all click on them and we get amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with somebody advertising to you on a topic that you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's good. So next one is,
I love
you
this
like
one.
this one, IMM, instant messaging, your chat.
It is called chatbots. And this is a word I find that people get really scared of. So chatbots, it's like, oh, I don't want to talk to a robot. I want to be personal. I want this. I want that. Well, hang on. It's actually a lot easier, and it's not a robotic thing. What it is being able to serve to a much better level based on the conversation that you want to have. So if you were to go to somebody's Facebook page and you say, send a message, and you're like, when are you open? An automatic response will come back to you and say, oh, we're open till 9, or whatever the case may be. So basically what a chatbot or instant message marketing is setting up those predetermined. So it's still, this is the part that I think people miss out on, is it's still me. It's still my voice. If you went to my page and you ask a question, I have gone in and kind of said, when somebody asks this, answer with this particular sentence, or answer with this way, in this way. So it's not circumventing that. What it is enabling the page owner, or whatever way that you're using the instant messaging, to be able to instantly deliver a common question to you without having to wait for a real person to actually respond. So I think it's great. I love the fact that when I go, do you want this? And I go, yes. And I get it immediately, because we are in an instant gratification world. Yeah. So we do want that information fast. We don't want to wait 2 hours to get it.
And every time somebody asks me a question, I always say, well, click the chat. Like, I just assume everyone has a chat, right?
Well, it's funny because on the weekend, this is where I wanted an answer to a question. So I go onto their chat and they're like, we'll get back to you on Monday.
Yeah.
Put in your email. I'm like, well, that's not helpful.
No. And it's interesting now because most people, if you're doing software or technology, the biggest time I think would be on the weekends, because that's when people actually have the time to figure things out. So exactly. Again, it's up to everybody, how they want to do it. But it is, again, another option to online marketing, to get content out, to move your brand ahead. So use it or not, it doesn't matter. You don't have to use all of these. Remember, don't get all crazy. We're giving you 10. Don't get all crazy and think you have to do them all. You don't. But but you have to pick one and start doing something.
Because you do have to be online. I mean, that's sort of the bottom line. You do have to be online. You do have to have some sort of online marketing, which is why we started with social, because that's the easiest one, because it's free. And most of these are, and putting out content is free. Sending out, emails and setting up sequences is free. It just takes your time to be able to do that.
Yeah. And then the last three, I'm going to kind of put them all together, because it's radio and podcast advertising, it's TV advertising, or online advertising, and it's also public relations. And those are more of the old school traditional, done in a different way. So radio, we all know what the radio ads are. They work. If your audience listens to the radio, those radio ads, because you can sing the jingles, right?
Well, it's really funny that I was doing something over the weekend, and I was listening to the radio through my phone, and my son came down and went, "What is that noise?" Because it was talking. It was a commercial.
Yeah.
Right, advertising for the radio. And I went, "I'm listening to the radio." And he goes, "You're listening to the radio? Who listens to the radio?" I'm like, "I listen to the radio."
Yeah. So I'm a big Sirius person, Sirius XM, because I like to listen to it when I'm in the car. And so, Sirius, you don't listen to ads, but you listen to sponsors. Right. So that's the difference. So again, if we look at radio and move to podcast, that's the differentiation factor. So when you're listening to a podcast, you'll hear who it's sponsored by, right? At the beginning, at the end, in the middle, wherever. And that
mid-rolls, end rolls, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So that's a great way. If you can identify a podcast that you think would be great for you to advertise on, then go for it. But if you are a podcaster and you think that you're a great podcast for people to advertise, make sure you have a great subscriber base, because the first thing people will ask you, what are your numbers?
What are your downloads?
So TV advertising is still around.
It does.
And there's lots of TV shows, and who doesn't know the Super Bowl ads every year, right?
They pay millions of dollars to be part of the Super Bowl because they know their people are watching.
Yeah.
And they make specific ads for that show.
And if you are, if you just, one of the biggest stations right now are the ones that have just news 24 hours a day. Here in Toronto, CP24 is a huge one. Yeah. And there's banner ads that go across all day long, and that's what you see. So if you know that your client base watches that kind of show, then it's a great way. Not as expensive as you think, because of the traction you get, right? So again, if you only want to spend $1 a day on Facebook ads versus $5,000 on an ad on a TV channel, you're going to get different traction, different numbers to look at you. So keep that in mind.
Well, advertising in general is, again, understanding where they are and where's the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
So maybe you can get on a show. That's the other piece, getting onto a TV station, radio station or something like that, and being interviewed about, something you have, which is where a lot of different content comes up as well. So,
and that is called public relations.
Exactly.
So public relations is a great one, and people kind of shy away from it. But the truth is, if you can establish yourself as an expert, an authority, an influencer, then you have the ability to be able to be booked on local TV shows, radio shows, as the expert, as a go-to person. You guys have all seen them, right? You've seen them on the TV. They're interviewing somebody and you're like, I could do a better job than that person. Why is that person? Well, that person's out there because they've sent a PR release. They've said they're open to doing it. They've established themselves in the marketplace as the authority and influencer, right? And so that is a phenomenal way to be able to actually expand your brand on a global basis.
Absolutely. Well, and all of these can, because all of these are online. So, yes, you can do advertising from a geographical perspective, but when you do advertising to a global perspective, or if you're just doing stuff without the advertising and you want organic reach, is what we call that when we're doing it from a non-advertising perspective. So again, social media, the content, email, all of the stuff, SEO, SEM, IMM, like all of the stuff that we've talked about today can be done on a global scale. So there's nothing that's holding you back, because a lot of it is free. Social media, content, email, and even affiliate marketing.
And PR is free. You just have to release a PR release. You just have to make a list of who you want to get to. So if there's any questions, put them in the chat, because I know it's always delayed a little bit. Put them in the chat and let us know if there's something specific that you want to know about one of the the 10 that we listed. Actually, and if you go to my Instagram, you'll see the 10 listed. So they're there for you. And make sure that
Actually, below this post is listed there as well in this group.
So go ahead and look at the entire list and say, okay, what can I do today? Don't worry about the ones you don't know, right? Don't worry about that SEO and SEM and affiliate stuff. Leave those, because those are the harder ones for you to do. And what happens is, generally speaking, is you'll go and say, you know what, I really want to do SEO. You'll struggle with it like everybody does. You'll struggle with it, and then you'll go, I'll just hire somebody.
Right.
And that we don't recommend you do that, because you need to make sure everything else is full and complete before you even think about putting more money against something. Because why pay somebody on a monthly basis for SEO if your content, your email, and your social media isn't right yet?
That. I was literally going to say exactly that. Ditto. Because there isn't any point, because there's nothing to back it up, and your SEO is not going to work.
Right.
So, and I think the only other one in regards to online marketing is your website.
Right.
So your website does need to be complete. I mean, there's lots of talk and chatter about what a website does for you. But you do need somewhere on the internet for people to find more information about you when they see you on a various social, or they see an inbox, or they see an ad or whatever, and you say, go to.
So, and that's what I consider that is content, because that's where you house all your content, your content marketing. But here's the thing. For those of you who don't have a website, don't freak out, right? Don't freak out. Say, oh my God, if you have your URL, if you have your name, your domain name, GoDaddy will give you a free one. It's not very nice, but it's okay. It's good enough, right?
You can just do one pager.
Yeah.
This is what I do. Here are my services. This is my bio. This is my experience. Here's a couple. No, it's okay. Keep going. My computer's about to die, but that's okay.
So we
pay attention to that.
So we both do Kajabi, which right now houses our websites and our memberships. We also have Groove, which we're transitioning some of our stuff from. And so those are great platforms that you can do everything in one thing, right?
Which is great.
Which is, absolutely. And so the other thing too is, if you're a coach, don't forget to check out On Point Mentors. And what we've done is, for people that do not have websites and they're coaches, you can just use us, and you would have a full one-page profile that has everything that people need to know about you on one page. So there's lots of opportunities for you to make sure that you have your presence. You just have to really, before you do any of this, before you do anything at all, you need to understand what your voice is, what your message is. And if you want to be on that global stage and be known as the authority and the influencer, you need to get that right before you go and do the rest.
I think the best thing I think I ever heard you say when you talk on stage, you've said this a lot, where, when you first started online marketing, you would literally open your laptop and all the people, everybody was inside your laptop.
Yeah, all my friends are online.
They
live in my computer. All my friends live in my computer, which is true.
But I do encourage you to make sure, before you do anything, to make sure you plug your computer in to a power source.
Yes.
That's okay, because my computer's about to die. But anyway, so that is sort of the top 10 of what the different types of online marketing are. Again, you don't have to use all of them, but you do need to be online in order to go global.
Yeah. So no questions. So
we're good. All right. But bring your questions on Friday, and tomorrow, same time, we're going to talk about tech tools. So with online marketing, there's a lot of technology. So we're just going to talk about the top ones that help you really get the best bang for your buck when it comes to where you need to be.
Cool.
See you then.
Bye.